Hello, welcome to our show, hashtag Healing with Sophie and Gugu. We are almost 5 months into lockdown, the time of stress, deep depression, anxiety, and different things that the true personalities now step up. Now you realize the person I'm sitting with, the person I'm staying with, are they really who they say they are? Welcome to Healing with Sophie and Gugu. Today we have a guest, a special friend of mine, Ntswaki all the way from Krugerstop, Mohale City, Kagiso. Me and Ntswaki are childhood friends, and I couldn't be more, honored to share this seat. So welcome, Ntswaki.
Thank you so much, Gugu. Thank you.
Our show is all about healing.
Yeah.
This is a continuous journey that we believe that, our society needs a very serious self-awareness and an awareness as a whole. During lockdown, we've seen a lot of increases where now the world is saying what's happening in the mental states of people. Now we're visiting mental health issues, depression, which is on a rise, and all other, depressions that are happening with our youth.
Yeah.
And I really thought you're the best person for this platform because I've been part of your journey recently and I've seen you overcome and I've seen you fighting. And to me, I do celebrate you in every way because for the first time I can actually say I know someone who went through this and I witnessed it,
Yeah.
So just please tell us briefly about your journey.
My journey started. I grew up in a farm. I'm a farm girl. And growing up in an area where we grew up, it wasn't exposed with anything. So all you knew was going to school and coming back home. And the only thing you do is just dream. You daydream about, is there another place than this one? Is there an exciting place like this? But for me, I just always became that girl. I was always a girl who dreamed. Until then we moved to the township. And that's where life became a bit, different for me because I didn't live with my mother. So I had to live with cousins at some point. I had to live with other family members at some point, my uncle at some point. And love was never really there. There was never love. There was never a connection, I think, with my mother as well. She was a single mother as well, trying her best as well. And, I applaud her for all she ever did, in raising me the best way that she can. But for me, the yearning of that love, that was just one of the places where I believe it actually started for me. It started then as a child. Then later, growing up, realizing my dreams as a performer, as a dancer, as a model, all of that became a reality for me, and I was excited about that dream. And then love was just one of those that were lacking a lot in my life, and I didn't even know what love looked like. I didn't even know what love was then. And getting into relationships became very difficult for me to express myself. And I often at times tell people that, at some point, I just felt like being a girl in a relationship, you just always have to give and not get anything in return, So you end up even doing things that you're not even aware that you're actually even doing for this love. Obviously, this is me trying to get affection. This is me trying to also get validation as well from men as well. So it became a struggle for me to really get it into me. Yeah.
So during your childhood, you are saying that the one thing, you almost had a good childhood.
Yeah.
It's just that you didn't feel like you had enough attention. You didn't experience the motherly love.
Yeah.
And obviously the father. So
the father was...
your parents were not really present
Yeah.
in your life to actually nurture you as a child.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So did that have a negative impact at all? Or,
It did.
it's something you learned to live with and...
It did. Honestly, Gugu, it did because at that, I always say that your teen years as a child are very, very crucial. They actually determine who you become in life and just how you also express yourself with other people as well. And I honestly struggled with personality. I had like a personality disorder at some point because I don't know where to place myself. I don't know if I'm like my mom. I don't know if I'm like my dad. I don't even know if being myself it's who I'm supposed to be. Am I okay for the world being like that? So love for me was definitely just one of those things that I know that were really, really, the things that I yearned when I was younger.
What impact did that have on you?
The impact, I dated wrong guys. I hang out with wrong friends. I think also...
Wrong friends?
no, you were not in the picture. Wrong friends. I think also being a rebel. You end up becoming a rebel as a child because you're looking for that attention. You're looking for someone to say, I hear you. I want to listen to you. What are you saying? And a lot of the times, I'd try my best to approach, my school teachers, to talk and all that. But I realized that that's not enough. I need it from home. I need it from my mother. So negatively for me, it affected me in my social existence. I just didn't really find myself in society. So it just always put me in a place where I isolated myself. I used to cut myself as a teenager as well at some point. And it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah, I can just imagine. So now, fast forward to Ntswaki now, being in a relationship, meeting the first guy. Ntswaki thinking she's fallen in love. Okay, let's just hold it. So fast forward, Ntswaki falls in love, or she thinks she's in love. What happened with you when you started transitioning to the woman and entering the dating space now? Now where you really have to say, I'm in a relationship. How was that for Ntswaki?
For me, relationships were one of the most not so good places I've been. It was never a good place to be in a relationship. I ran away from relationships. I date, get serious. I ran. And I think another thing was because of growing up without that love, you end up becoming you don't feel like you deserve to be in love. You don't feel like you deserve the love that you're getting.
Foreign.
It's foreign. You don't know it. And sometimes, you receive that love and you're like, why do they love me? If I didn't feel that affection from the people that I thought are going to give it to me, why is it coming from that place? And one in particular relationship that left me extremely broken and very confused at the same time was a relationship, I was in 10 years ago. A live-in boyfriend, fell in love, the most amazing person ever, at first sight. Very, very respectful. It's somebody that you look at them and you're like, this is somebody that I really want to end up with in my life. And unfortunately, it didn't end very well. There was a lot of abuse in that relationship. Given the fact that he was a doctor, he would beat me up and buy me medication the next day. Yeah.
What with your encounter of that abuse in a relationship, or sort of even in marriage?
Yeah.
Like, what were your thoughts? Like, did you think this is how it goes? This is how it happens when you really fall in love with someone and you settle down? It means this is what the relationship comes with, because you said you don't remember receiving that love from your parents, the people who are responsible and who are supposed to give you love and show you obviously the way, and they were not present to do that for you. So now when you finally moved in with this guy, did you think this is how it goes? Like, this is normal?
Honestly, I thought it was normal at first. And then I also thought it was, he loves me. If he hits me, maybe that's another way of love. Maybe that's another way of him expressing how much he really protects me by beating me. So at times, abuse really gets to you in a way that it's only once you've left that you're like, I was actually being abused all the time. Not even physically, but mentally as well, financially as well. And you are left so confused. So I had a lot of questions as I'm in the relationship, because I want to leave, but he loves me. But he beats me.
Like, just paint me a picture. After beating you, what happens? You said he gives you medication.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, sometimes you'd want to leave, but you'd stay because he loves you, but
Yeah.
he beats you. So after the beating, what happens? Do you guys go back to the loving space? What? Like, I'm trying to find where the love really remains. When you keep on saying, he loves me.
To be honest with you, I think it was more of the confusion more than anything. And for whatever the hours after it happens, he would bring home flowers, or he would bring something that he knows that I love, and he's sorry. And I look at him, and it will always feel like he is sorry, because he does this for me, because he's giving me this attention that I've always wanted as a person. And a lot of the times you don't go back because of he's about to go down on one knee to propose, but it's the things they say. Don't forget, my abuse was very it's like this person had planned before even he started to literally hit me. He planned how he was going to put me in that space where it's difficult for me to walk out. I wasn't allowed to do gigs. I wasn't allowed to socialize with friends anymore. It was just him. So even if I was to run away, I ran away where? To where? And that's where the confusion comes, because now you're confused in terms of, if I leave, where do I go? Do I start over again? Or do I just continue? Does it get better? Is he going to be okay, like with the setup of the abuse? Or am I going to be okay with it? So when love happens, it feels good. It feels good to be loved. It's like, I've always wanted this. So if he beats me, I'll have to, it's my fault. A lot of the times it's like my fault. Yeah, no, it's me. I provoked him. I did something wrong. Yes, because of, Ntswaki, I'm not perfect. And maybe I deserve this. So even with him now, he's getting excited that I'm not even reporting. I'm not even walking away. So he even does it for no reason at times. Just sitting there, and it starts. So it then became my life in that relationship. For 2 years, became my life.
And how did you get out?
My getting out, I was ready to leave. And he saw that I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't love him. And we're still in the same place. And my mind was like, I need to pick up and leave this man. And my planning was he saw that. He saw that I wasn't getting excited anymore when he's saying sorry. I wasn't loving him anymore. I wasn't doing all these things that he was expecting me to do as his girlfriend. And then he booked us a holiday in Cape Town this one weekend. You know how you're like, I'm ready to leave this person, but it was on a Friday. And because this person can see an exit, let me do something to distract her mind. On a Wednesday, he booked flight tickets, he booked a hotel. We're going to Cape Town from Friday to Sunday. And I think that was one of the biggest surprises that I got in that relationship. After every time there was a fight, or he beat me, or anything like that. And in my mind, it's like, I've never been to Cape Town. This man loves me. Wow. He's celebrating us and all that. And little did I know that his plans were to kill me.
Yeah, that was hectic. So now, fast forward, you guys go to Cape Town on Wednesday. Your bags are packed for coming back and leaving this guy. Your mind is made up.
My mind was
What
done.
Conversations are you having with this guy? Because, you've made up your mind. He's no longer in your life. Like, you're not trying to do this anymore, but here you are. You're going to go somewhere. It's a holiday, and it's going to be nice.
It's going to be beautiful. To be honest with you, I think the months prior to that actual weekend, I was terrified of him. I was terrified of even being next to him. I was terrified to say something wrong. I was questioning my dress code. I was questioning, who am I talking to? Who am I saying hi to? I was terrified of even my own Facebook. And if a call comes, and even if it's just a wrong number, I know who that person is. If it's a man's voice, I know who it is, and I'm going to answer who's that. So the months prior to the actual day, as excited as I am, I'm still trying to be careful to not tick him off, to not to not upset him, because I wanted to be perfect for us, for the relationship. Not much is being said. It's just details of this weekend. It's to celebrate us. It's for him to show me how sorry he is, and all that. End up in Cape Town. I remember that day very well. That night. We went for dinner. After dinner, we went to a club. Went to a Cuban to a club in Cape Town, and it was just an argument, a silly argument that I'm dancing. Why are you dancing? I'm like, but I'm just having fun. I'm having a bit of something to drink. I'm trying to loosen up, and the argument starts until into the cab, and still arguing into the cab, and we get to the hotel. I remember I walked in first, and I'm expecting him to switch on the lights in the hotel, and he doesn't switch it on. And the only thing I remember was him pulling me from the bag and beating me.
In the dark?
In the dark. He bit me in the dark, and I fell. I was on the floor. And the next thing, he just choked me. He choked me, and I'm fighting him. I'm trying to stop him with all my energy to stop doing what you're doing. You're killing me. I think a moment of God came in to say, don't fight him. Don't do anything. Be still. I pretended to be dead.
Right.
I pretended to be dead. I stopped.
So you just laid there?
I felt him choke me. I felt his hands on my neck the whole time, and at some moment, he stopped. And I'm lying there. And he goes to bed.
Like nothing happened.
I am trying so hard. I'm trying so hard to understand, how did it get here? How did it get to this point where he's doing this to me? And I'm crying, but I can't be
loud.
I can't be
you
loud.
did.
Yeah, I can't be loud.
Because you did.
Gugu, I had to wait for that man to sleep while I'm on the floor. And I crawled to the bathroom, and I locked myself in there. I cried until the morning.
Sure, this is hectic.
Yeah.
I don't have a tissue here. That's it. But anyway, buddy, I believe we're friends during this time and during this period of your life, and I think I remember very well going back that actually in our friendship, that was the one time you cut us all out. That was the one time that, you're not there. Like, it was just not even, like, even the conversations I remember, if we call you, you're just like, hey, but I'll call you back.
Yeah.
We didn't see the signs. We didn't see the signs. Why? The Ntswaki I knew, the fierce Ntswaki that I knew walks away from relationships.
Yeah.
As soon as these relationships start, getting serious,
yeah.
She walks away. Like, she doesn't stay for this. So in my mind, the last thing I thought, as your friend, even when I'm checking on you, just reaching out, the last thing I think is you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But the one thing I knew was the fact that something must be going right.
Yeah.
Because you've made this whole life-changing decision. Like, you've never made such a sacrifice for a guy. And you had moved to Midrand.
Yes,
you
I
guys
moved to
Midrand.
Yes.
In the plot, in the farm.
Yes, in the farm. Yeah.
Oh, and sometimes you never even had a phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was hard for us to reach you. Even your mom, I remember at some point, it was just, you were out of reach, but you were just absent from all of our lives. But let me tell you, from people who are your friends, who love you and care about you, I don't know how. I don't know how we didn't see it. I always never liked the guy.
I remember.
I never approved of the relationship, but I cannot force my feelings on you, and no one can force their feelings on you and their opinions on the decisions you make. I mean, as we grow, you want to make your own decisions, and you want to trust the decisions that you make, that these are the decisions that I will stand by, And I remember that at some point, I just, at the wrong time, because I think even the last time I felt like I backed off at the wrong time, because this is now the relationship where it's like I had to stand up.
Mm.
I had to go look for you. I had to like make sure if she doesn't have a phone, something is wrong.
Mm.
If she cannot talk all the time, you were just like that is if you pick up.
That is if I pick up. Yeah.
You were just weird. You're just weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she must really be in love with this guy. So now I feel like we misread you, your support system, I guess. We misread the situations. But what is it that we're supposed to look out for? Like, when people are going through these things, what is it that are the signs for us now? Because in your case, we were there.
Yeah.
But you were just not there.
Mm.
You kept the distance. I mean, at that time, if we were in Rodiport, you took a whole trip to Midrand and you disappeared.
And I left.
And, you just became further and further to reach from all of us. What signs must people who are your support system look for, in such situations? Like, what do you feel I would have done as a friend? What do you feel your mom would have done just to try more, to get you out of where you, and were we able to reach out to you and just maybe try to get it? Was there a possibility that we, I don't know, because I feel like that's the one time in life we failed you. That's the one time we failed you, where we're not present at the time that you needed us the most. But the signs just threw us off. The signs just, they pointed us this way when things are happening that way.
To be honest with you, friend, I think the first sign to everything is a big change. My biggest change was to move in with him. Far and move in with him. We were hardly 6 months in a relationship. We moved in together. And I think that was something I would say. I wished I had my friend who was saying to me, "Are you sure? Are you sure about this decision? Are you really, really sure? Give it another 2 months. Give it another 3 months." Because the abuse never happened when we were separate. It happened when we were living together now. Now, don't forget, he feels the need that he can cut off people. He can cut off, my work. This is someone that, I missed so many gigs. I remember there were gigs that I was supposed to.
No, you weren't able.
I was.
You were nowhere to be found.
That every time
couldn't be reached.
Every time I'd have a gig and he knows about it, he has to beat me up so that I'm in bruises, and I can't shoot, I can't work. I forced so many shoots with bruises, and I remember a makeup artist was like, "I can't do this anymore. I can't keep covering your arms. I can't." My arms were always literally, scarred, bruised, and I would feel sad that I have to cover up what this man had done to me. With signs, to be honest with you, I think a lot of the times when you're in that situation, you fight with yourself a lot. I believe that there are a lot of women who do wish friends had seen the signs or had intervened or anything like that. But when you're good at covering up somebody's faults, you paint them so well that you're also trying to convince yourself that he's a good guy. I don't want people to see him like that. I never became honest about him to even my own mother. My mother just saw this good guy. He has a good job, he's a doctor. And I don't want to disappoint her as well. I don't want her to think that even me, I failed her to bring a good guy into my life. And all that happened was just he's a good person. So sometimes it's really hard for even friends to see that with guys, because it's always, but he was such a nice guy, but he was such a good guy, but he was, you understand what I mean? There's always, and also Lorona, we put them in that pedestal. No, Bashab, he's a good person. Because we want to also believe that good in them and that good about them. So you did help me. And you helped me a lot. And as much as it was after everything, but you did help me. You became that person that I could walk into, and you still opened your arms for me. I could never forget that moment in my life. How you really still said, "You are my friend." And thank you for that.
It's crazy.
Thank you.
But fast forward, now the daughter guy is out of your life, you're rebuilding your life, love happens again. How is your mental state before you jump into this relationship? I mean, you just recovered, or you're recovering from this domestic experience at a young age. from your first real
The
relationship,
first real relationship.
your
Yes.
first real commitment.
Yeah.
How is your mental state, like mentally now? If I'm picturing myself, if I have, had an episode of abuse, my mind would probably just be all over the place. I wouldn't be ready to jump into another relationship. How did you do it? And did you ever assess? Did you ever see a change? Like, did Ntswaki change from that relationship when you decided to date again? Jumping into fast forwarding the relationship now, say recently, or before your baby, maybe.
Yeah, before my baby. After that relationship, I fought hard to block it all out. It was a
You
mind
fought.
game.
You fought how? You just said with yourself, or did you seek help?
I didn't even seek help. All I needed to do was to forget it ever happened, to forget that relationship, forget that man. A lot of the times, because you're always thinking, but I stayed. He beat me, I stayed. He beat me again, I stayed. You also find yourself at fault for allowing that to happen to you.
So you blame yourself.
So you also have that blame game towards yourself that, yeah, maybe Lena nekimo provoke, maybe Lena I was just, but at the end of the day, it happened. Ntswaki's mind, block it out, move forward. And I think like a lot of things in my life, it was a lot of block it, move.
So you never really attended
I never really attended.
to all the issues that you probably encountered on your
I'm not going to
journey.
lie to you, I never did. And I don't even think there was a time I cried. I sobbed after the relationship. I sobbed so much in the relationship that I don't feel like there was any tears anymore. All I could ever try to do was just to be strong and move forward and try hard to work on the career that I love. Try to get myself back on the wagon. It was all about that for me. Let me get back in the game. Let me focus on my work. Let me focus on getting myself better, and I'll deal with personal things later in life. It was always that. I was always packing all of this up in my bag. And till I found love again, and which was unfortunate that it ended, but it ended beautifully with a beautiful son. And that relationship was also, something as confusing as the previous relationship as well, because I'm getting these signs of love, but I'm not getting signs of commitment. I'm not getting signs of trust as well. Me trusting him. Don't forget, once you're out of a relationship, your mind always tells you it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. This might happen. That might happen.
Stay alert.
Yeah, I stay alert. Even intimacy was the most hardest thing for me. Hugging, sitting next to a partner, they were hard. Even just someone getting up quicker, or they coming to me with surprising me and all that. I always felt it was like a fist coming. So I always had those moments, and the nightmares would happen. So because I'm blocking this and I'm trying to move forward, I was always held back. And, the relationship ended because of its own reasons. And as it ended, I went through the most hardest time of my life. I was depressed. I was extremely depressed. And I gave this man a son.
Were you depressed because of the relationship that was not working out, or you just depressed of the way you handled yourself in that relationship, or the struggles that you had? Do you feel like it was your fault that it had to end? Like, what depressed you from now, this relationship, and it's ending?
From this relationship, it was more of I felt I gave myself so much to this relationship, but I didn't get it. I didn't get that love back. I didn't get the commitment that I was expecting. I didn't get you gave me a beautiful child, I'm supposed to love you more. The expectations of a relationship now, when we're a family, I didn't get that back. And it depressed me that I did so much, but I still didn't feel the love that I was expecting, that I thought I would expect from the relationship. And
was there a lot of love before the baby?
There was a lot of love. And after the baby, it kind of, we distant, and it was more about the baby now, and there was no relationship. And now because I yearned for a relationship and love. And now there's a human that needs this love, who's new into everything. How do I even give it to him as well? So I was still confused with love, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. And the expectations of what love was. So what happened, my depression happened from those expectations, I believe, from that relationship. The fact that I will see my son and I will love him and we'll connect, and I didn't see that, you know. As a new mom, you're meeting a stranger and he's a stranger, you're a stranger to him.
You're supposed to be so excited.
Yeah, I'm supposed, I didn't. I remember looking at my child at the hospital and I'm like, how do I even connect with you? It was the hardest thing ever for me. And leaving the hospital, I remember I had a meltdown. And the nurses had to calm me down for a long time.
A meltdown how?
I didn't want to go home. What was I going to do with this baby?
With the baby?
Yeah.
Leaving the hospital?
Leaving the hospital.
You wanted to stay?
I wanted to stay. I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted to stay with this baby. And I wasn't
Why?
ready.
You want the nurses to look after the baby?
No, it wasn't even that.
What?
I think there was an argument before I left the hospital with the father of my child. He forgot to pick me up.
Oh.
And
did he come at all when the baby was born, when you were in hospital?
He did come, but there was still that distance. You know, he came, saw the baby, left. That's it. Not even, flowers. Not even how are you today.
Yeah.
It was always about the baby. It was always about the baby. And towards the last months of my pregnancy, I believe he just kept holding on to the relationship until I can give birth. You know, and I think once you realize Oromuto is just around for mine, your mind also switches off onto them, and you don't even love them anymore. All you just worried about is just, can I just have my son, you know? And when my son was born, it was still difficult for me to connect with my son. And given the fact that our relationship was rocky and all that, communication was bad. Sometimes he comes, it doesn't come. That was just that. I was expecting anything from him. And that led to a lot of, my postnatal, I can believe. I can say I self-diagnosed myself about when it came to that, and I thought I was handling it. Until months later when I had an anxiety attack at home. I remember I was on the floor, I was mumbling, I was just not with what was happening. And I remember a friend of mine coming and giving me natural drops to calm me down, because I was just literally in a state. From there...
At this point, your mom is in the picture.
Yes.
Is she a pillar? Or is she also just struggling to connect with everything that's happening around you? Or is she's, a support system at this point? Yeah.
At that point, my mom is a support system. But in terms of connecting with her, we connected much later in life. And I believe in her state, she also grew up in a setup where she had to be a mother earlier. And in my life, she was 18 when she was a mother. Growing up, she had to look after her brothers as well. So her setup was, she was also not foreign with what love is, what connecting is. And it was always difficult for me to even share with her, because...
Oh, she wasn't familiar
She wasn't familiar as well. So I'm trying to get love from someone who doesn't really know what love is
and how to give
to even express it, And all she's expecting from me is just to be a good daughter, and which I really tried all my life to be. She's supportive. She's a great grandmother. She's amazing with me. She's helping me with the child. But we never really connect. We never really talk. We never really open up about certain things. And honestly, after that attack that I had, I never went back to normal after that for a long time.
So tell me now quickly, your journey has a lot of not connecting with love, not receiving love, not knowing what to do when love is being presented, you rejecting love and being rejected even in the end, which builds up to your meltdown. And now you're sitting there as Ntswaki, you are not okay. you're not okay. You're on the floor, you're lying there, somebody's giving you drops to calm you down.
Yeah.
What's happening with your life at that time? What was the problem? Why are you having these meltdowns, and how did you get out of that situation?
At that time, I'm a young mom.
Mm-hmm.
I went back home. I live with my mother.
Okay.
I have no income. I have no drive for anything. I struggling to connect with my son.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got days where I had to ask my mom for help, which I never did. I always worked hard for anything. I always made sure that I have something for myself. And was a breadwinner at some point. I was taking care of my family, you know, and that switch just literally got to me. And the things that were happening personally to me, my situation, and struggling to even build a relationship with the father of my child, was hard. It was the
He's
hardest.
present. He's still in the picture.
He's still in the picture.
Okay.
Yeah, the relationship, it died a natural death. I could say that. It died a natural death.
Natural death is becoming a thing, guys.
It died a natural death. There was a time in my life where I was like, I'm not going to force it anymore. I'm not going to make him see me. I'm not going to ask for his affection. I'm just going to let it be. As there were times where I felt like I'm forcing this to happen. I'm asking him, why is he not coming to see me? Now, we're now arguing about small things, and it then became very clear that he doesn't want to be here. And I struggled to let go also on my part. So all of those things that were happening
led me
to, yeah, it did.
Okay, so how do you rise, Ntswaki? How did you get up? What did you do? Did you seek help? Were you diagnosed? Did you get treatment?
How I got to this point, let's say it's been 2 years and 4 months of recovering from depression, 2 misdiagnoses, a hospital stay for a week, in and out of the doctor's room, and therapy that happened for a longer period of time, and all of that got me to this place in my life. And more than all of that, to be honest with you, it had to be acceptance that I'm not okay. Acceptance that I need to accept that I'm actually like depressed. I had to accept that first, because the challenge the first few months in my depression was that, have you ever been depressed from being depressed?
I was depressed right now. You're telling me. Oh my gosh, buddy.
Yeah, I was depressed from being depressed. My depression took longer to even, for even the doctors to diagnose me correctly, to even give me a proper diagnose and dosage of even my own medication, was because of I was getting worse. I was getting better. I was getting worse. I was getting better. At some point, I lost my speech. I couldn't talk. That's what depression does. It does have a physical impact on you. There are people who go blind. There are people who literally can't walk anymore because of you are suppressing so much onto you that your physical says, I can't take this anymore. It has to go out somehow. And the minute my speech was going, it was like, in my own view, when that happened,
you just lost your speech.
Yeah, I lost my speech. I can't talk anymore. I can't. I have to write something down. It was the hardest thing for me to talk. And because I didn't talk for so many years. I didn't say anything for so many years. I suppressed. I kept on moving from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next. I kept everything so inside. I bottled up so many things that it got me that sick. Luckily, my hospital stay became, it was uncomfortable, but it was what I needed. And that's one thing I believe a lot of people run away from when they are diagnosed with depression. It's like, hospital, no, not me. Sharp, I'm okay, I'll be fine. And months later, you're still being, you're still relapsing from all of this, So all of that to wrap it up, I could say really got me to this point. And a year of soberness, a year of being off social media, a year of being of just doing everything organic for me. I had to it had to be natural for me to talk. It had to be natural for me to address something. It was so difficult for me to address anything to do with my mother that all I said to myself was, I'll just handle it by myself. It was hard to even tell my family that I don't have money. Now I can tell them, guys, I'm sorry, I don't have money. I would beat myself up that I can't provide certain things for them. And I'd feel like a failure all the time, that I'm not able to come to the table or to the party. I can't contribute. Right now, if I don't have, I don't have. And that has helped me a lot to always think about me first. Before I can even be in the next relationship, I needed to fix me first. I needed to love me first.
Would you say you also needed to apply a little bit of self-forgiveness?
Self-forgiveness, yeah, a lot of that. I had to. I had to forgive myself for allowing a lot of things to happen to me. I had to forgive myself for believing that it was my fault that the abuse happened. A few weeks ago, I approached this person who did this to me years ago on social media, and when I did that, I didn't even have a what am I going to do after this? I wanted to remind him of what he did to me. And for me to do that was the last chapter on my book of abuse. And he blocked me. Meaning he ran. He ran. And it was the same thing that he did after what he did to me. He ran. And he blocked me and everything. And after I did that, it wasn't even, I didn't even have a moment of, I feel good about what I did. But what I did made me realize that I am not protecting him anymore. I'm making him aware that he was the one who had a problem. He was the one who did all these things to me without me even doing anything to him. So I had to do that so that I also start that journey right now. Imagine, so many years later, I'm making that decision right now to forgive myself.
Yeah. That was truly amazing, Ntswaki. And I'm just in awe that, you went through all these things. And this is what we keep on saying. When people don't reach out and they don't speak, and also it's also understandable when, your friends don't say anything. And also people get busy and people do so many things, and maybe we forget to follow up. We think you're okay. We assume you're fine because you're not saying anything. I think the culture that needs to be applied now is, we need to reach out more.
Yeah.
As a society, as family, as friends, we need to check on the people that we say we love and that we care about, because you honestly never know what somebody's going through, and maybe your call or you showing up will just, stop something drastic from happening, or you'll be that call of change, simply by being aware and reaching out and, saying, buddy, are you okay? Is everything okay, And if you feel like your friend is not saying much like you used to, you wouldn't say much, maybe send a message of saying, look, man, please tell me. I just want to know that you are okay. Maybe hopefully that message reaches you to respond and maybe give me a heads up or give somebody a sign that things are not going, I don't know. I don't know. But I was just shocked that some things happened in our friendship. And I only found out much later when things were a mess.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, buddy, that I wasn't, the friend that you needed and I didn't read the signs. I'm honestly sorry, because this is why we do what we do. It's people close to us. It's our friends. It's our sisters. It's our colleagues. It's our mothers. As a society, we need to read the side. We just need to be present more. I don't know if I can put it in better words, but let's just reach out as a community and also just promote love, man. People are needing love out there, because now you find yourself in these crazy situations looking for love. Mothers, reach out to your kids. Fathers, just try reaching out, build some sort of relationship with your kids. Maybe some of the things that we see in our community today won't be as hectic as they really are, because pain that is felt is pain that is put in. Punched, plowed, pushed into our communities. If you're feeling pain, all you're going to give is pain. If you feel love, all you're going to give is love. So let's learn the culture and adopt it. Let's heal South Africa. Thank you.